All right, all right. I think that we're going to get started. As you can see, you are at the webinar today. You are in the driver's seat. Some real talk about behavior change. And we're going to connect with that. So thank you for showing up for yourself today. That's a really good thing. Pat yourself on the back for that. So let's talk about your weight loss journey. Yes, your weight loss journey. And it's different, isn't it, from anyone else's? Um, but it's still similar, right? Still similar. So, hi, I'm Deb Meckley. I am a Master Certified Health and Inner Wellness Coach. And as a Livia consultant, I get to celebrate your aha moments. I get to celebrate your successes because you have them. You have several of them. But I also see the disappointments and the frustrations. And I know all too well what that feels like. So let's do some real talk today about what it would be like to get clear on what you really want. What would it be like to get clear and concise about what it is you want, how that would affect you in your life and your circle of influence, all those people in your life as well. And of course, we have to address and acknowledge the obstacles, those things that stop you, slow you down, prevent you from having that which you desire. And in this case, we're using the scenario of your weight loss program. You see, no matter what it is that you desire to shift or move in your life, no matter whether it is our relationships, our career, our finances, or our health and well-being, which directly is related to our weight loss wellness, no matter what it is, we have to get connected with the behaviors that keep surfacing, those things that slow us down and prevent us from having what it is that we desire. In this case, we see this oftentimes is debilitating, and this is the human condition. But stay with me because I promise it gets better. Now, those of you who are on the Livia program, you know that the Livia program works. It works when you work the program. It's fabulous. We see it all the time. We see all these successes. So knowing that, what is it that gets in the way of your personal success? What gets in your way? Now, I'm a little old school. I like learning this way, connecting with one another. Also, you'll hear me say several times during this workshop webinar, this is a writer-downer. So grab a pen and a paper. Some things will resonate with you. Some will even trigger, and you may not remember what those are. Also, at the end, there'll be a Q&A. So you can click down. If you see at the bottom, there's a little Q&A button down there. So if you click down there, you'll be able to ask a question and I'll be able to answer that. Also, I'm going to share with you some of my best stuff. I've been doing this for a long, long time, and these techniques work. I'm going to be sharing those with you. So I'd like to get some feedback. I'd like to hear what's working, what's not working. Remember, we're always reevaluating what's working, what's not working, and where can we do something different. So feel free to please connect with me. You can reach me at applevalley@livia.com. Just attention Deb Meckley along the way, and I'll get back to you. I'd love to hear your results, your feedback, and your aha moments with this. So let's get started with number one, language. It's simple, right? Language, it is simple and it is so impactful, more impactful than you even imagine. I love words. Words can be exciting, inspiring, creative. They can inspire us enough to move us forward, even catapult us to the next level. But our words can also be an inner pain. They can be internally painful and they can be devastating, can't they? And when this happens, it can make it almost impossible for us to achieve whatever goal we're trying to do. And in this case, our weight loss goal. And wow, that self-talk, that inner conversation with weight loss can be really struggling and challenging, can it? So these are writer-downers. Again, you're going to hear me say this. So grab your pen and paper. These are some of the things that I hear all too often in my conversations and dialogue with clients. Um, I was a bad girl. I had a bad weekend. I hate bad food. Now, what we're going to be doing here is talking about reframing the way the brain connects with your experience of bad. Think about that. So easily, our brain is so smart that now it has decided that food for you is bad, that you're a bad person, a bad man, or a bad woman. And um, this is something that carries forward in other aspects of our life, doesn't it? Not just in our weight loss journey. So I'm going to teach you how to do some reframing so that you can rewire your experience and your brain can come along for the ride in a new way. Um, Bad. If you're thinking about bad, it's really a choice. Your choice isn't bad, but you could have made a better choice. The word better feels so much different. It actually feels better than the word bad. The word better allows you to step back and say, I could have chosen a better thing, a better part of this meal. What would that have been? And how would I have felt? How much better would I have felt? Now the brain is associating your being in the driver's seat and choosing. You have a choice. So you step back for a moment, you take a breath, and you ask what was triggering, what was going on that I made the choice that I did, and what would the impact of a better choice have on me? Now your brain is seeing you have a whole new conversation. And the word better feels so much different in the physical body than the word bad. Another word that I hear a lot is trying. Now, stay with me. Trying in and of itself, it's a good thing. I'm going to try this new thing, try this new recipe. I'm going to try bike riding. I'm going to try this new exercise or body movement. Trying in and of itself is good. But with you and I sit down and we create a plan for the week, and you're going to bump up your 3 days of body movement. I'm going to talk a little bit about this in a minute. When you bump up body movement to 4 times a day and you increase it by 15 minutes, that's a plan. And you're going to set an alarm so that you're eating every 2.5 hours so you don't forget and go beyond 3. We have a plan. So we set this in motion, and then you say to me, I'm going to try to do that. What you've done by saying, I'm going to try to do that, instead of I'm going to get her done, is you're giving yourself permission to not succeed. And it's like me saying, I'm going to try to get my laundry done today. Well, I've just given myself permission to most likely not get the laundry done today. So the only way around this reframe and rewiring your brain is to just get it done. Set it down, write it down, and say, this is what I'm doing. Maybe it goes in the calendar and block scheduling. Your brain goes to pen to paper and says, this is what we're doing. We're going to get it done. Another thing is exercise. We have this version to the word exercise, right? It's work. I got to put on a certain amount of clothes. I got to go to the gym. I got to take time out. I got to sweat. We associate effort and work with this. In fact, we can be putting on our tennis shoes and tying them and talk ourselves out of it, just like that. I like to use the term body movement because that's natural. We have legs. Our body expects us to walk. It doesn't really think of that as exercise because we should be walking every day. Those of us who can. We should be walking. We should be in body movement. It's natural. So true story, I had a client a few years back, and she actually had a clinical condition that would cause her to have hives. She'd get on the treadmill, and at a certain point, her brain was already trained to know that the hives begin now. So I asked her, what would you like to do? What would maybe bring a smile to your face? What would you like to do in the form of body movement that you would enjoy? And she said, well, I like to dance. I love 80s and 90s music. So I challenged her. I said, I want you to dance 4 times this week for 20 minutes around your house to the music that you love. And every time you pass the mirror, at least once, I want you to smile. She started to implement scarves dancing around the house, smiling every time she went to the mirror. Her dancing turned into an hour, several times, many more times a week, and her body responded because she enjoyed it. Now, her goal with me was not weight loss. We were working on other behavior changes, but she lost 24 pounds loving to dance. So think about changing exercise to body movement and see what kind of result you get. Another big word, way overrated, is motivation. How many times have you said to yourself, I gotta find some motivation to get this done? If only I felt motivated, I could get this project done. I'm looking for motivation today. Motivation is overrated, and you will always run out of motivation, but you'll never run out of inspiration. I'm going to teach you a little bit more about that in this conversation, in this webinar today, about your own personal inspiration, because it's right in here all the time, and all you got to do, it's right at the surface, and you don't have to dig very deep to get it. But if you're looking for inspiration, you can find that. You can take a deep breath and you can find that inspiration. I'm going to teach you how to do that. So motivation, kind of knock it out of the ballpark and replace it with inspiration. You're reframing. Now, when I say reframe, I want you to picture the word bad or exercise in a frame. Maybe the outside of the frame of this picture isn't very attractive, and inside is kind of gray and muddy. And then right next to it is another frame. This frame is beautiful. Maybe it's gold, maybe it's flowers, maybe it's silver, platinum, maybe it's wood, painted wood. And inside of it are all these colors. And this is where you're putting this new word, this new reframe, so that you can rewire your brain to have a new experience and replace the old experience that's holding you back, okay? Because that's really that obstacle that we were talking about. That's one of those obstacles inside of this language. Commitment. True story. For many years, almost 15 years, we have been gathering with other couples once or twice a month, not during the pandemic, however, but we cook a meal. And then we have a topic at that evening, a word that we discuss after dinner. Well, we hosted at one time, and so we are the last to comment. Well, the word was commitment. And as I listened, I was amazed. It was fascinating that everybody who talked about what commitment meant to them. And for most people, commitment is effort, struggle, challenge. Every single person talked about sacrifice. I have to give something up in order to get this thing that I want to do. So you see, the focus became on how much work it was going to be to get to this goal or this desired outcome that you wanted. So as they were talking, I looked up the word sacrifice because I heard it several times in the conversation. Sacrifice means to hold sacred. Well, that turns a whole new spin on commitment, doesn't it? What is something that's so important to you that you would hold it sacred enough? Well, you would do almost anything to get there. Very little would get in your way or sway you. Very few circumstances would pull you out of your game because your focus is on getting there and that there's not effort with that. You're moving towards something so important that you're holding it sacred. Commitment. When we see commitment in a new way, we will stay steadfast. We'll move forward. We will stay committed to our commitments. So reframing and rewiring. Write that down in some of these words that come up for you. So all of these lead to behavior. We have 60,000 thoughts a day, and our thoughts become things. Everything that was ever created started with a thought. So when we have these thoughts that don't bring a lot of value to us, we in turn put legs on them. We turn them into action steps, or we bring along the baggage of some of our old behaviors. Now, we have all recreated behaviors in our lives. We've had several successes with changing behaviors, and it feels so good, doesn't it? So kudos to you for that. But we all have these behaviors that seem to come along for the ride in everything that we do. They slow us down. So I want you to imagine this. If you can imagine, some of you are familiar with the old 33, 45 vinyl records. And if you're not, you probably know what they are. But imagine this vinyl record playing. It's your favorite record, and you play it all the time. One day you're playing it and you're into it, and all of a sudden there's a scratch in the record. There's a skip. And it's maddening. Oh no, because it will never, ever play the same way again for you. Now let's do a 360 on that and make that work for you. These old behaviors, they're old patterns, they're old stories that you've been carrying with you. In fact, you have always been in the driver's seat. You've been allowing these behaviors, these conversations that come up. You've been allowing them. Now, I know that might be challenging, a little bit hard to swallow right now, but stay with me because there's good news. Because you've been allowing these behaviors, you can allow something new. You can have a new conversation. You can put a scratch in this record of old behavior so it never plays the same way again, but you have to replace it with something new. You see, our brain is so smart. It's amazing to me that we only use about 10% of it. Our brain is so smart that it will accommodate any behavior that we are doing, even if it's a behavior that we don't like. It will accommodate that behavior. So let's think about those behaviors. What prompts these conversations that become actions or behaviors that we carry into our daily living? What prompts that? Well, this is our fight or flight mechanism, or the protection part of our brain. It has to keep us safe at all costs. In fact, it sees our extra body fat as the number one resource to keep us alive, and it will do anything to protect us from that. So when we know that, it changes everything. This is a game changer. This is why we teach our clients how to have mindful relationships with their meals. Eating every 2 to 3 hours, 6 meals a day, is actually allowing the body, the brain and the body that work together, allowing the brain and the body, or our fight or flight mechanism, to feel safe, to shed our extra body fat, to use it as a source of energy in our daily activities. If we are continually giving ourselves the calories that we need inside the program that you're getting, the fight or flight mechanism says, oh, Deb, you're getting enough calories in today. It's safe. I can use this little extra body fat right here and for energy for you today. So you're tricking the body into believing that it's safe. And that's where this new behavior comes in, because we haven't been taught that in the past, right? Now you get to eat in order to create this goal weight, or as I'm going to refer to a little bit farther down the line here, our desired outcome. Now I call this part of our brain, or this conversation, the critter brain. Now it's very smart, and again, you'll hear me say it over and over again, it will accommodate any behavior that we are allowing. That's why being in the driver's seat says, hey, I need to allow something different. I need to change this conversation, flip the script, so I can get a different result. So again, it's good news. We've all been here, but if you can relate to this, start thinking about how you have really been allowing this. We've been pretty upset, frustrated, angry with this part of ourselves, this talk, this self-talk for most of our adult life, haven't we? Now it's time to have a new relationship with it. I'm going to show you how to do that with some techniques. So when you realize that this is its job, it really is a game changer. It changes everything. It just simply needs to calm down. And when you create the stage for it to do that, everything shifts. Our conversations become calmer, they're kinder. There's less resistance and pushback. You know, that pushback that you get, that will start to alleviate. I want you to think of a time when you realized it was subtle. You realized after a couple of weeks, you hadn't done a certain thing. You had changed the way you were behaving. You had changed something that you did, or you had eliminated something that wasn't serving you. It was subtle, but one day you had this aha moment and you realized that you had it. I got this, right? So, and when I want to give you a funny analogy about this. When you're in the driver's seat, and this fight or flight part of us, which is very determined, it'll do whatever it takes to keep you alive. Remember, if it's afraid for you in any way, it thinks that you could die. It's that dramatic. So I want you to think of being in the driver's seat and inviting this part of you along for the ride in the passenger seat. Because you're going to go do this new thing. It's a new behavior. You're doing something new. It's unfamiliar. So the fight or flight says, whoa, 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 Deb, I don't know about this. It doesn't feel familiar. Why don't you come back over here? It kind of reels you in, wraps its arms around you, pulls you back into the comfort zone, which actually is pretty uncomfortable, isn't it? For some of us, it's miserable. But we keep coming back to this place because we don't understand. And we don't understand the relationship that we could have with this part of our brain. So you invite her along. Maybe you even name her to tame her. You invite her along. Don't put her in the back seat. I promise you it won't work. She'll kick and scream, and there'll be all this resistance. That which you resist persists. You have to bring it along, acknowledge it, and give it a new opportunity to see that you're safe. You are safe in the driver's seat, but it needs to know that. So you invite it along for the ride of your weight loss journey in this case. All right. So we're going to recap here. I'm going to bring up a slide and we're going to recap what we've covered so far. Okay. So we're reframing and rewiring each one of these experiences so the brain has a new opportunity to do it differently, the way we actually want our brain to do it. So it's so critical that you engage in mindful language. Reframe your experience to rewire your brain with this language. These old negative self-talk pieces that you have, think about the opposite of that, the positive of that, and reframe it. You have to put a scratch in the old record that's been playing for way too long. What would that be like? Yeah, put a scratch in the old record and understand your fight or flight responses or this critter brain. Because when you understand what it's actually doing, even though you might not like the way it's doing it, it's here to protect you. It really is looking out for you. Now you can have a new relationship when you understand it, and it changes the game. It changes the game that you're playing. So have a new conversation, realize that you are in the driver's seat. You always have been. So you're always winning at the game you're playing. I want you to think about that. Even if you don't like what winning looks like, you're always winning at the game you're playing. I say that because whatever outcome or result that you're getting in anything that you're doing in your life, whatever result you're getting, you created that. You won that result. And if it's not the one you get, you need to step back and make a couple minor adjustments here that will create big change and have huge impacts in your life. So decide what it is you want winning to look like. All right. So now we're going to move on to the secret sauce. Okay, here's a little bit more reframing of language. Now, you have a weight loss goal. We call it our weight loss goal in Livia. I often refer to this as our desired outcome because it feels a little bit more inviting, okay? And you can kind of feel the difference between my weight loss goal and my desired outcome, right? Be really familiar with the sensations that you're feeling in your body. Your body's talking to you. If you're rigid and you don't like the way something feels, move away from it and replace it with something that feels good, because you'll want to create more of that. So let's talk about the number. I'm going to refer to the weight goal number as 135, kind of like that number. For you, it's a different number. So I want you to think about the number. And now let's have a conversation about that number. For decades, the scale, this aversion to the scale, there is an old record, an old story playing. Here's another old story playing that we need to put a scratch in the record of that story that's playing. Because that number in and of itself is simply information. If we avoid the number, we don't know where we're at. And if we don't know exactly where we're at, we're not going to get where we want to go. During the pandemic, I had this experience with many clients where they had avoided getting on the scale. They didn't want to know the numbers. They were playing a guessing game in their head. I think it's this. It might be 5 pounds more, but it's probably about 8. Wow. That in and of itself is exhausting, isn't it? That's an exhausting head game, and that's all it is. It's a head game. It's an old behavior. I had encouraged people to get on the scale, to know what that number was. Everyone said to me, and some people called in when I wasn't there and left messages for me saying, The weight of the world was lifted off my shoulder. In fact, I was 8 pounds more than I thought I was, but now I know. Wisdom is knowledge, it's power, it's empowering. So let's think about this number as information only. Get curious. When you're curious, you can't be judgmental of yourself. Did you know that? It's impossible to be curious and judgmental at the same time. So let's get curious about the number. Now, the next thing is you need to get connected with your why. Why are you doing this? I see too often the why is I want to get in my skinny jeans. I need to get into bridesmaid's dress. Well, wow, that's for somebody else, isn't it? I want to get into a bathing suit for my vacation. That's great. But if it's not any deeper than that, either you won't get there at all, or after you get there, you'll go right back to where you were at, or very close to where you were at. Our why has to be deeper than that. I call this the big MOFA, your big motivating factor. What's driving you, really driving you? When you get clear and concise on what it is you desire, when you get clear and concise on that, and what having that will do for you, who you will be, and how that will affect your life, your sphere of influence, all the relationships in your sphere of influence, that will change the way you get there and how fast you get there and how you feel while you're doing it. You see, when we focus on the number becomes a job after a while, doesn't it? And when it becomes a job, we lose our enthusiasm. And then we fall off, we waver, we start to get back into the old habits, and boy, our brain, our DNA at a cellular level, it remembers where we were at. It'll help us get right back there again. Get connected to your why, your big MOFA, what is driving you. How we do that? This is the secret sauce. Visualization. Like I said, your brain has no emotional attachment to the number 135 or whatever your number is. It has no emotional attachment to that. However, it does have an emotional attachment to how you feel about being at that desired outcome. Let me show you. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes for a moment if you feel comfortable. Close your eyes for a moment and visualize yourself. Who are you at your desired goal weight, your desired outcome? What are you wearing? Look at the smile on your face, the glow of your skin. Look at your energy level. Who are you with? What are you doing? Where are you? Look at your conversations. Have they become inspiring, maybe delicious? Your relationships have shifted and changed. They're enhanced. Sometimes our careers literally change. Our passions change. Even our relationship with the energy of money changes. Wait. Our body image has a lot to do with every single aspect of our lives. This visualization is so powerful because the brain now comes along for the ride. Remember what I said? Putting her, the critter brain, name her. Mine is Eunice. Bringing her along for the ride, showing her that this is safe, calming her down, getting her involved along with you. Now what happens is this part of your brain, the fight or flight part of your brain, becomes your ally, your friend. Not only that, it keeps you in alignment with your desired outcome. It supports you. What would that be like? Because it kind of goes like this. I walk into the kitchen. My intention when walking into the kitchen is to get myself a glass of water. That was my intention. But I passed the refrigerator and it's calling. I think it's the refrigerator calling, but it's actually Eunice. So I open the refrigerator door. And then I hear, but there's ice cream in the freezer. I know that. And then I hear, there's ice cream in the freezer. We usually open and look at the ice cream. And then once we look at the ice cream, we take the ice cream. Doesn't matter if it's in the middle of the day or when it is, right? So this conversation's kicking in and it's saying, but Debbie, you always do the same thing. I can count on you. You do the same thing every time. In fact, I know what you're going to say. I even know how bad you're going to feel after you do the ice cream or do that off-plan food. That part of our brain, we've allowed, this is the allowing I'm talking about, we've allowed it to have this conversation. Now I put a skip or a scratch in that record. I close the door and I go back and I get my water and I drink my water down. Guess I was dehydrated maybe, not hungry at all. Or I step outside, or I pick up something, I do something else. By the third time that you have gone to the fridge and done that, now the brain, there's a hesitation, and you'll know it. There's a hesitation, and the brain says, okay, Deb, what are we doing now? Instead of telling me what we're going to do next, because I always do that. Now I've put a scratch in the record. By the third time, my brain is waiting for me to make the next move. Simple? Yes. Easy? Not always. But if we consistently got to 3 or 4 times of changing a behavior, what would that do for us? How would that feel? What kind of impact would that have? So visualization is a powerful tool. The brain connects to visualization. The truth is, when you're thinking about yourself at your desired goal, at your desired outcome, think about this. Say the word desire. You can feel it. You'll even get goosebumps. I can get goosebumps for you. When you feel it in your physical body, you see it and you feel it, now your brain is really engaged. It's emotionally engaged with you. It's not separate from what it is you're doing. Everything changes. Everything shifts. Change one thing in your life and everything shifts, because the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. If we procrastinate in one area of our lives, I promise you, you're procrastinating here, 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 and here. Change this one thing, and you will see your conversations become inspiring, even delicious. That inspiration that you have within you takes the place of motivation. Now your visualization is inspiring. There's your inspiration. It takes seconds. All you have to do, many times a day, start out with one. Just start out with one. But many times a day, you'll find yourself, because it's so creative and you feel so good and you want to move forward. You crave the way it feels to visualize yourself. And the beautiful thing is that the magic doesn't happen at 1:35. It happens all the way along the journey. Every place is a milestone. You're feeling so much better about yourself, about your accomplishments, your successes, that you crave it and you want more of that. And so now your behaviors are shifting and changing, because you're replacing one with a new one over and over again. One at a time. That's all it takes. Change one thing and everything in your life will shift. It's a game changer. So let's recap this. So think about changing that goal weight to a desired outcome, and see yourself in this desired outcome. Feel it. Really feel it. Do this daily. Get connected, though, with what is driving you. That's so important. It has to be deep, not skin deep. It's got to be deep. And I'm telling you, I promise you, you don't have to dig very far. It's there. You know what it is you want. Even if you think you don't, we always know what it is we want. Get connected to that and see it and visualize it. Taste it. Feel it. Know it as yours. So use this visualization technique. See what you're doing, who you are. See your energy. You'll feel it in your body. And when you feel it in your physical body, you'll even get goosebumps. Your brain comes along for the ride. It gets so connected to that, and it wants more of it. Because you see, our brain, it does not know the difference between your daydream and reality, because our thoughts become things. And so it sees this as already having been done. It's already done. It's already done. Bring your brain along for the ride. Stop resisting it and pushing it back, because it will never stop pushing you back unless you calm it down. Name it and tame it. Try it. It's very powerful, and it's very empowering. So engage your brain, get emotionally connected, feel really good about this, and feel it in your physical body so you can bring this along for the ride. All right. So in closing today, what I want to say to you is that our weight, it plays such an important role in our everyday lives and everything that we do, doesn't it? What would it be like to never be preoccupied with how you looked or how you fit in your clothes? What would it be like to exercise, to move your body freely without being reminded that there's too much of you there or more of you than you would like to be there? What would it be like to release yourself from the worry of health issues, maybe ones that you currently have or ones that you're predisposed to? That, my friends, is freedom. That's freedom. And there's a feeling, an elated feeling that goes along with that kind of freedom. Put yourself in the driver's seat. Acknowledge that you're in the driver's seat and you always have been. Take the steering wheel and put your critter brain in the passenger seat. Bring it along for the ride. It's empowering. This is about having tools and techniques and resources that empower you to be, do, have more of who you came here to be. This weight loss journey, hold it as sacred. That commitment that we talked about earlier, what are you committed to? What does that commitment look like? Who are you when you get there? And hold that. It's so important that it's sacred. And you'll find yourself less and less and less getting off track. Engage your brain as your friend, this critter brain. Engage it as your friend. It wants to help you. It wants you to be safe. You have a part. You have a role in that. You need to convince it that it is safe. It is okay to do what it is we're doing with it right now. So remember, during these times, they're uncertain. And uncertainty brings about fear. Fear raises our cortisol levels, all of these hormones that keep us, all these extra body fat reserves on us. You may feel uncertain or out of control of things that are happening. I know at times I do too. But the one thing you are in control of is your own health and well-being. The truth is, your body wants routine. It wants you to give it nutrition every day. The more nutrition you give your body, the less your anxiety is, the healthier you are. You focus better. Your body craves routine. Stay in the routine of your program. Stay in the routine of your program. Everything else will look different. Your perspective will look different, look better, look healthier. It will feel much better and you'll crave more of that. Remember, you're always winning at the game you're playing. Think about that. You are winning at every result that you ever get in any aspect of your life. Some of it you really want, it's aha moments, feels great, and others, well, not so much. You're always winning at the game you're playing, so decide what you want winning to look like. And invite every part of you along for the ride of that. But you really get connected to that. That's the key here. So get clear on your vision, and you're more than halfway there. I really want to know what's working for you. Remember, we're always tweaking, aren't we? What's working? What's not working so well? And what are the do difference? Then we stop beating ourselves up. We get curious rather than judging. As you're using these techniques, I'd love to hear your feedback. applevalley@livia.com. You can put attention Debbie, and I'll get back to you. I want to know what's working for you and how much better things are. The small changes, yeah, small steps, big changes, huge impacts in every area of your life. Thank you for being with me today, and thank you for showing up for yourself. Until we meet again, and we will. Goodbye.